All right, y'all. It is time to shine. It is time to shine. We are back yet again for another very special episode of the Run the Jewelz podcast show and vidcast series. I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple, King Jewelz here, ready to lock and load for another priceless episode for this season, you all. Shout out to all of our wisdom listeners that are tuning in, and even our Twitter space listeners that are tuning in to receive exclusive behind-the-scenes Q&A access. But if this is your first time joining us for the RTJ show, the RTJ Lifestyle Show was created to spread inspiration to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn wisdom on how to shine brighter in their careers or their businesses. And so if you are a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a career young professional that is trying to trailblaze in your industry, this is for you for this podcast. Also, if you are interested in being a future guest on one of our next episodes this season for the RTJ show, just click the link that we're putting in the comment section below to fill out our interest form, and our team will comb through and see if you have what it takes to be a part of our dynamic tapestry and our international tapestry even. And so we appreciate all of our VIP jewels that have been a part of this season and the last previous season's episodes. You can listen to the RTJ podcast show on Wisdom, on Twitter Spaces, and on all podcast platforms. We're just releasing new content for our second and third season of RTJ. With the audio podcast, but we have all of our visual episodes for season 5 going on currently right now. And so shout out to all of our VIP jewels that have been with us since the beginning, since season 1 right now all the way to season 5, you all. We could not have made this show a success without you. And so those are all of our housekeeping for today. If you have any questions, finally, for my very special VIP guests, you can put them in the comment section below if you're watching our live stream, or even if you're tuning in with our Q&A live session on Wisdom. Feel free to come on to the stage and ask any questions that you may have for my very special VIP guests. And so without further ado, I'm excited to bring in a young king that is doing some dynamic work all across, not just here in the U.S., but even all across the globe. He is in the personal development space and wanting to make sure that you all are being in your sweet spot. You all are being in your element, and you're using your talents and your gifts. And so I met this young king by way of the Reels community. Shout out to Monty, who created the Reels community, content creation community that helps us content creators get more accountable for producing reels on a more consistent basis, and also in increasing our audience and our outreach on social media. And so I met this young king just from being in a community, you all. It's important to attach yourself to communities and tribes that are going in the direction that you are seeking. And he is, I believe, even getting married shortly. And so shout out to all of the married couples that are tuning in and that support us, because you're going to also be hearing some jewels from someone who is getting married, you all, and who is going to be married to a lovely bride. And so literally you are going to be hearing from my very special guest, Felipe Rangel, who is going to be touching on the subject today on literally speaking about breaking generational curses. And so today we're talking to Felipe about how to start a new legacy by breaking generational curses. Felipe, how you doing this morning, King?
What up? What up? What up? Welcome everyone. I'm doing amazing. Good morning. How's everyone doing?
Absolutely. We appreciate you rocking with us, man. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to run the jewels with us for today's episode, King. Tell us a little bit about yourself, though, Felipe, for those who may not know you and definitely need to know you after today. Where are you from originally? Where are you tuning in from this morning for the interview? And then also, why is this an important subject for you to talk to our audience about?
Thank you. Well, before I go ahead and share that, shout out to you, Julia. I really appreciate you, bring me on. Today we're really gonna drop some gems for you all, and again, as he mentioned, like we really want to help you, be in the sweet spot so that you can grow in whatever you desire, right? But again, just to kind of start introducing myself, my name is Felipe Rangel. I'm a 26-year-old Latino entrepreneur. I'm a first generational cycle breaker. Basically, what that means is I'm the first in my family to be able to break generational curses, limiting beliefs, self sabotage, and all that stuff, right? I'm actually right now, I'm out in LA, born and raised. I'm tuning in out here in the West Coast, and I'm actually the founder of I Am Prosperity, right? The whole focus of I Am Prosperity, and again, connecting with other people, is that our whole mission is to help you, overcome limiting beliefs, self sabotage, generational curses, so that you can tap into your highest self, so that you can live a more prosperous life, right? I think a lot of people, New Year's is about to come up, right? A lot of people are trying to grow. And the thing is, when you think about growth, a lot of people usually try to grow during this time, right? New Year's, hey, New Year, new me. I'm gonna do it. New Year, new me, right? And then after a couple of weeks, whatever days and things like that, the way they set themselves up isn't the best, and they just kind of flop, right? So our whole focus is really to help people be able to build momentum, break free from those limiting beliefs, generational curses, and so on and so forth, so that they can live a better life, live more prosperous, and reach the desires that they want for themselves, whether it's better health, building wealth, talking about having better relationships with your partner, your family, with yourself, and so on and so forth. So thank you, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So y'all heard Felipe. He's ready and also locked and loaded to run the jewels with us for today's episode, you all. We are talking to Felipe on the subject again of how to break generational curses and starting a new legacy for you and your family. And so I know he is definitely a family man. And he is definitely going to be sharing how this has even impacted his culture and even his family, so that we are on the right track to create new legacies this year and this season, you all. And so shout out again to all our Wisdom listeners and Twitter Space listeners. Again, if you have any questions at any time of the session today with myself and Felipe, feel free to come onto the stage and ask any questions you have on today's subject. But Felipe, like, talk to us about growing up in Cali, man. I'm from Oakland, California. I forgot to mention from the Bay, so it's definitely Cali all day, every day over here. But we love LA too. And like, talk to people. How was it growing up in Cali, in your family dynamic, and even a part of your culture? Like, how was it in really seeing that you were going to have to take a stand to do something new and to start a new legacy for your family?
All right. Yeah. So I think to start off, I got to really talk about. So in terms of my family dynamics, we were raised by a single mother, right? But before that, my parents, my mom and my dad, immigrated from Mexico, to the U.S. To create a better future for us, right? For my siblings and I, right? I got two older sisters and a younger brother, right? So they came here with, that American dream, trying to really, give a better opportunity for us, right? And I'm so grateful for all the sacrifices that they did, all the support that our family has given us, and so on and so forth, right? But growing up, we were actually raised by a single mother. Something that's very important, to highlight is that, my mom was born with cerebral palsy, right? And if y'all aren't too familiar with that, it's basically like when it's a birth. It typically happens when you're born, where your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, right? And so there's like this whole domino effect to that. But if you can kind of imagine, right, as my mom got older, we had to also care for her. And so if you're a single parent raising 4 kids, right, I'm sure you can just imagine how challenging that is. But also having that, added more to it, right? Growing up, we struggled, we had our own struggles, right? And I'm sure you can kind of relate to this, but, we struggled financially, we had different hardships, things like that. But again, I'm beyond grateful for the things that we did go through, because it's allowed me to become stronger, and like even allow me to be here, right? I'm sure we maybe touch on this later, but like, something that really is key for me, that is a big part of like myself, is that again, growing up, our dad wasn't really there as a father figure, right? And so that impacted me, like in terms of how I saw myself. And I don't know if you all know, but for any person, kid growing up, adult, teen, whatever, you need to have a father figure and a mother figure, right? And that is just a general thing, right? Whether it's actually your parent or whoever, you need that. And so I think, and then I mean, we can do a whole full circle if you want, but basically everything that I've gone through and stuff, you know, going through that hardship, the adversity and stuff like that, and being now where I am, like it's allowed me to say, you know what, I see how you know some of us even to this day are struggling with certain things that you know that that I went through, right? And so yeah, hopefully I answered that right.
Oh yeah, absolutely, bro. Yeah, we got to give a shout out to your madre, tu madre is always love for the single mothers, especially. I come from a single parent household, and so I know the impact, especially that mothers, they are in charge of cultivating the seed. Everything we know begins with the male seed, but the mother has to be able to cultivate it inside of her and also when the child is born. And so we know that we give all love to all of the mothers out there, especially ones that are single mothers that are still making it happen and still taking care of their family and their children. And so we're going to dive more into that story too. So we definitely want to give really quick a highlight to our VIP sponsor today while we let Felipe get a quick commercial break. We always highlight a VIP sponsor or affiliate for our episodes for the podcast. And so each and every episode, we partner with an entrepreneur that has a service or a service that they provide or product in order to make sure that our audience is able to see their good or their service. And so take a look and see who our VIP sponsor is for today, you all, as we take a quick commercial break. Take a look. So again, shout out to our VIP sponsor for today. Comes from none other than StreamYard. StreamYard is our affiliate partner that we partner with to stream all of our live episodes for the RTJ podcast show. You can use the link that we're putting in the comment section below to get a free $10 off discount rate just by clicking on the link that we're putting in the comment section. You're able to stream on Twitch. You're able to stream LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of course, all by using a platform that is easy to navigate and that is very easy to use. And so shout out to StreamYard, who is our streaming platform affiliate partner for today's special episode. And so if you're interested in being a partner or being a sponsor, click the link that we're putting in the comment section below too to partner with us this season. But back to Felipe, we definitely wanted to get our VIP affiliate sponsor out of the way, but we want to talk about the culture dynamic too, because I've traveled to Cuernavaca and Morelos, and definitely love all things with the Mexican culture. And a lot of my close friends, of course, always tell me how important family is, not just in the Latino culture, but specifically in Mexican culture. And so, like, talk to us, like, how was your family dynamic growing up? Were all of you and your siblings getting along? Did y'all also get raised by any extended aunties or uncles or other cousins? Like, talk to us about that dynamic.
Damn, brother. Julie, honestly, you hit it on the nail. Like, even me not explaining it, like, literally, you just, you basically said what I'm about to say, right? And so 100%, I think family for us, and you know, even our own family, right? We, you know, I don't know, we abide by that. Like, I think family for us is 100% very key. It is like, if anything, one of, you know, the pillars that you need in your life, right? To have a joyous life, you know, family is super key. You know, growing up, and again, shout out to all of my family who supported us, you know, my mom and stuff like that, my godparents and everyone. We did have a lot of family who like helped raise us, right? You know, specifically my mom's sister, you know, who passed away recently. Shout out to her, and you know, rest in peace. Um, we had a lot of family who did raise us, right? And growing up, we were taught, and you could see it, right? Getting together and like cherishing family was very key, right? You know, your family is what supports you. It's like your rock, right? And funny enough, like, you know, I personally will say that I also carry that, you know, very deeply. I understand that family is something that is something to be very important. Like, you have to take care of that. And funny enough, yesterday, you know, now in today's season, like, you know, it's kind of getting to the colder season out here in LA. Not really, but you know, a little colder for us out here. We got together and had some menudo, you know, some cultural food, right? But we basically got together to you know, celebrate Dia de los Muertos and stuff. And again, talking about family, like, we we use this time to be able to connect with each other. Hey, you know, how are you doing? How's everything going? You know, to be able to support each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely, like you mentioned, all family is definitely the most important piece. With a lot of, especially the Mexican culture, and even a lot of Latin American cultures too. And so, like, I grew up with a small immediate family because my grandfather all had I think 3 children and an adopted one. And so they all just had one child each. And so it's only 2 additional cousins that I have from my immediate family. But my extended family that comes from my grandfather's siblings is extensive. One of his siblings, my uncle Isidore, he passed away, but he had 12 children. And so, like, talk to us when it comes to Felipe, when you are wanting to trailblaze and start something new, like a new legacy, like, how can it be a lot of resistance that you may face in you're trying to break generational curses, you're trying to start a new family dynamic, even for you and your wife in the near future. So, like, how has the resistance been for when you're trying to separate yourself and even trailblaze to do something new?
Yeah. I'll touch on two things real fast. Like, one is relationships, because, you know, talking about my fiance and stuff, and two is like, what kind of life do you desire? What do you want to, like, right? And so we'll touch on first. The very first one is relationship, right? In terms of my upbringing and, you know, family dynamics, right? Like, my mom and my dad never actually had a relationship. Like, they're not married or anything. They weren't, right? I never saw growing up what a relationship looked like, right? I never saw that you're supposed to love each other or support, you know, right? I never saw that. And so thinking about that relationship and having that resistance, for me personally, when I first started dating my fiance now, right? Man, I was terrible. I was a terrible boyfriend. Like, I'm telling you, I was terrible. I didn't know how to receive the love that she was giving me, right? And I don't know if y'all can relate to this, but I seriously, like, I was self-sabotaging myself, like, because her love. And again, shout out to the queen, right? she really loves me and cares for me, and she knows how to do that, right? There's so much that she's taught me that I couldn't learn from my family or whatever. But the point is, I was literally shooting myself in the foot because of what I didn't see growing up. So thinking about breaking generational curses, or like trying to, create a better life, like I'm trying to tap into to networks or communities where people have great relationships, right? I think a lot of people think, getting married is, oh, that's it, that's the end of the world. Like once you're married, that's it. But like I don't see it that way, and I don't want to see it that way. I think getting married, or building something with someone is beautiful. It's like you're committing to your life to serve that person, and likewise, right? And so if you have a mindset of, all women care about is my money, or all they care about is my time, or they're using me, you will never have an amazing, beautiful relationship, because you grew up thinking that or believing that, right? So me, what I'm trying to do, because I now know, right, having the right mindset is super key, is that I'm trying to connect with people who have amazing relationships, who are happy, who are supporting each other, because I can't go and ask my dad. And this isn't to say like I hate them, or it's nothing against them. It's just that they didn't know how, or maybe they didn't learn, or didn't. No one taught them how to have a supportive relationship. They didn't teach them that you have to communicate, right? A lot of people, and especially within our own family, rather than when situations come up, problems, we like to argue, right? We yell at each other, fight, whatever it may be, right? But understand, like, if we're trying to do things a little better, if we're trying to, break that cycle, right? Maybe let's learn how to communicate, right? Sometimes some people will say, "Oh, I hate this," right, about you, right? And then someone might automatically think, "Oh, you hate me," or whatever. Take things out of context, when that person didn't know how to actually say, "You know what? I actually really miss you, and I want to spend more time with you. I just hate that you have to commit all this time to work," or whatever, right? Maybe we just sometimes don't know how to communicate. We got to learn how to do that a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah, no, communication is king, as I like to say, with a lot of my peers and a lot of my friends, because as you said, if you don't know how to communicate effectively, then you're already setting your relationship and your marriage up for a disaster, or a doozy, as I like to call it. And so, like, I know you're a communicator too. You're very active on social, and even in doing training and development and speaking. Like, what do you feel are some of the key factors in making sure that communicating in a way that you are literally building a new legacy for yourself, and even sharing that with even your future spouse? Like, how have y'all benefited from communicating each other's struggles, or even potentially curses that you all are trying to overcome and break, so that you can start a fresh new union?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, I think, and this is funny, right? Like, or not funny. I like to. I think it's interesting how, and this is really for my family, right? Like maybe you can relate to this, right? But I think what's interesting is that a lot of people try to solve problems by never talking about it, right? I'm sure many of you have heard of the word taboo, right? Growing up, it was taboo to talk about our emotions. It was taboo to talk about money. It was taboo to talk about anything, really, right? And if you're thinking about communicating, right, it is very important to, in order to have a, let's say, break any curses or set yourself up for a better life, you have to communicate. And so with my fiance and I, we communicate about, what our desires are, what's going on, because in, like, you have to, in order to be on the same page, and like be able to show empathy, right, and like know that you have each other's back, you have to be able to communicate. Because if I never talk to you about how I actually feel when you don't love, because we all have love languages, right? If I never communicated to you that my love language is this, and the way you show love to me is that, I'm never gonna feel the way, I'm never gonna feel validated. So rather than just putting it under the rug, right, never talking about it, right, you want to communicate. And so Emily and I, we basically talk about, like in terms of her, she's a school teacher, right? So whenever she's going through tough times or whatever, it's like, what's going on? Talk to me through it, and I just listen, right? That really is it. Learn how to listen, right? With an open heart, open ears, and see what they're going through. Like, try to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, no, that's right there, especially when it comes to listening and listening without having to respond, as a lot of us men and a lot of us kings sometimes put our foot in our mouth with always responding versus just taking the time to listen. Those are all jewels for better communication all around. And shout out to all the school teachers too, like your fiance Emily, that are working tirelessly this year for our youth and trying to make sure that we lead and also direct our youth in the right way. And so, like, talk to us, Felipe, too, about like the generational curses. Have y'all had those type of conversations where we know that you came from a fatherless home and even some other factors I know that I'm sure that you'll touch on. But like, what have both of y'all decided that this is where the line is drawn for our family, and we're not going to follow the trend of what maybe our family or our grandparents may have even passed down to us? Like, what are some things that you all specifically said, this stops here, this stops now?
Yeah, yeah. I think for us, one is that uh, we're no longer going to continue being two separate people. Like, again, thinking about my mom and my dad, they were, although they had us and everything. In a sense, they were just two separate people, right? They were never one. They were never a team, whatever. So for us, our whole thing is that we're going to be one, right? We're going to support each other, right? When we have our kids, we're going to support each other, right? Understand that, what, maybe at a certain time you can't take care of these things, so let me go ahead and jump in and help out here. Let's work together, right? We're one unit, we're one team, and whatever our desires are, wherever we're trying to go, take our family and stuff like that, we're not going to do it without being two separate people, right? We really want to be one. So that's really one thing for sure. um,
Yeah, definitely. In being able to come together as a union and as a party, let's stay with that point too, because a lot of folks that I've talked to, I've even been to a lot of relationship workshops and marriage conferences where they always say that if people do not know who they truly are individually before getting into a marriage, then they will end up having to struggle in trying to work together as a unit because they haven't even decided who they want to be. And especially for the men and for the king myself are like, how have you been able to like work with finding who you are and how you want to be as a husband, how you want to be as a father, like versus of course your wife is your wife and your spouse is your spouse, but how have you give some men some practical advice that you've been working on? Who does Felipe want to be as a husband or a father?
yeah, yeah. And funny enough, even before talking about that, I think it's really interesting that I think a lot of people in general, right, don't even know who they are, right? Whether it's within a relationship, whether it's they're trying to do this or that, like, they just don't know who they are, right? What I mean by that is, like, someone might know, like, you tell me, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm Julian, right? Yes, great. That's your name. I'm Felipe, but that's not who we are, right? We are greatness. There's so much inside of us that we need to learn and understand, but we don't take that time to actually recognize that, right? But in terms of my own self, I take time to reflect, like, and again, thinking about everything that I've been through. My dad unfortunately wasn't there, like, to help raise us and be a father figure. I want to, I basically want to give my family and my fiance, my kids, and everyone what I never got, right? And again, this comes from a place of love. Like, I'm so grateful that whatever my family could have was able to give us, right? I want to do more. I want to take what I got, right, and then give more to my family, to my wife, right? Be the loving person, because you got to understand, as I mentioned, like, unfortunately, my dad as a father figure wasn't there. uh, as human beings, we need a father and a mother figure, right? As a partner, thinking about a partner, like a wife and a husband, your wife needs you to be there, to affirm her, to support her, to hear them out, right? And in order to do that, you have to become that person. You have to become aware. What you know what I'm saying? So that's really it. Like and again, I take the time to reflect and like, okay, what do I got to do? How can I get better, right? And so again, I mean, bringing it back to communication, you gotta like really see what are you trying to do, what you got to work on, and go from there.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we touch on that a lot too. I forgot to mention Felipe with building up the kings just as much as highlighting and celebrating the queens. But I mentioned, like everything starts and ends with the kings, and especially the seed, the male seed. And so we have a whole different perspective, and also a whole different piece of baggage on our shoulders as being husbands, future husbands, fathers, mentors, coaches, guides, that the family is going to be looking towards you specifically who are listening, whether we want to admit it or be held accountable or not, because society is a reflection of the men, and especially the kings that are either stepping up or stepping down. And so talk about that point when it comes to mentorship, Felipe. I know you mentor a lot of your clients and a lot of people too. Like how should one go about finding a mentor, a coach, or a guide? And talk to us about how have you been influenced by having certain mentors, coaches, or guides growing up?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, if step one is you got to decide what is it that you desire, right? Two is if you're trying to like go a certain direction, you're trying to improve some things, get rid of things that maybe don't serve you to the highest self, right? You want to have a mentor, right? And when thinking about having a mentor, you want to find someone who's doing or has what you want, right? And so like again, I want to have a better relationship with my wife. I want to be there for my future family, right? I can't get that from my parents. And again, this isn't anything against them, but you want to go and find a mentor who's doing what you desire, doing what you have, right? And I think mentorship is the best thing in the world, right? Like, go to someone who has the answers, right? Why would you go to someone who doesn't have answers, right? Like you're just going to be doing a crazy eight. You're just going in circles and circles and circles, never getting what you desire, right? And that's going to cause frustration. That's going to cause you to be upset and it's like, oh well, what's going on? This and that, right? But having mentors is key, and you can have a mentor for everything, right? You can have a mentor to have better health, a mentor for building wealth, a mentor for relationships and stuff like that. So yeah, I think mentorship is very, very key. I think it's underrated, and I think part of it requires you to be okay with learning from someone else, right? Because sometimes our ego gets in the way. I know it all. I know it all. I know. Hey, as adults, I know it all, right?
Yeah, no, that's a key jewel right there that Felipe is saying. We have to take a humility stance, or a humble stance, in knowing that we are not self-righteous and that we know it all, which a lot of men especially fall victim of, thinking that we got it. We know all of the to-dos and how to operate through this life. And so like stay with that point right there too. Like how do you feel most people who are wanting to break generational curses should step into different outlets, or plug into different outlets, such as counseling, such as mentorship, such as even classes or workshops or coaching programs? Like what outlets do you think people should plug into, even with their faith, increasing their faith? Like how should they plug into different outlets if they're trying to break generational curses?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a lot out there, right? I mean, if you're trying to go a mentorship route, you can find someone who's doing what you desire. They have what you want or whatever, and doing a one-on-one. There's podcasts. I mean, shout out to this podcast right here, dropping everything, dropping gems and stuff like that. You can literally start off by listening to podcasts. Like, just start somewhere, because I think sometimes we try to do it all at once. Like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna change it all, Julian. Like, all right, I'm gonna change my entire life. Like, I'm right. And sometimes it's too much for us. Like, we're not able to change everything right away, right? We go through growing pains, right? So, what I would recommend is listening to podcasts, getting some ebooks, right? You can purchase from different mentors, whatever they offer, ebook programs. You can go to the library. There's a ton of books out there that you can literally get free, right? Just return them back or whatever. There's a ton of resources out there. But I would say just whatever works best for you, right? Let's say you don't love to read, listen to podcasts while you walk or you go to work, right? I was giving this gem during this week. It was like a lot of people listen to the radio going to work, right? Substitute that for listening to this episode. Substitute, the whatever you love listening to for a podcast or something, right? That'll help you get the gears going and help you, elevate yourself.
Absolutely. It's all about elevation and transcending, which is what Felipe is telling us in literally stepping into your calling and your gifting. And before we step into our final Jewels segment, Felipe, like talk to us about like your legacy. We talk about legacy building a lot on the show and on the podcast with our guests. Like what is the legacy that Felipe wants to have for his self and also his family? And then talk to us about your business too, because I know you're a business owner and entrepreneur, but let's start with the legacy. Like what is the legacy for yourself and your family that you want to leave? And then talk to us about your business too.
Yeah. All right. I got you. So I think foremost in terms of family, my legacy that I want to give, and this is every day, this like every action that I take is getting me towards that, right? I'm building towards that. Is one, being a better person for myself, because if I can be a better person, if I can improve myself, I can then be a better husband, right? If I can be a better husband and I'm working on myself, I'm going to be a better father for my kids, right? And again, thinking about my upbringing and everything, I'm doing what my kid, like what I wish, what I needed, I'm going to be able to give to my kids, right? So my legacy is to be there for my wife, right? Literally be a support system for her, right? And not just have her do it all by herself, right? Be there for my kids, right? I want them to feel confident about themselves, because sometimes, and this was me, like this is me, right? Growing up, I wasn't the most confident kid, right? I was a little kind of skinny, goofy kid that, I didn't have that self-confidence, right? And so now that I've discovered that in my own self, right? By the way, you have it too, right? You just have to kind of do some work. I want to have, now that I know this, I want to give that to my kids. I want to help them know what's inside of them, right? And in terms of my business of I Am Prosperity, man, this is deep, right? But I really want to help people who are going through things that I went through, right? Whether it's limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, maybe having a generational curse of not being able to love themselves, right? Because if you don't love yourself, you may not know your self-worth. And if you don't know your self-worth, you might be entertaining people who don't have the best interest of your life, right? Whatever you desire, you might have people around you, your circle might not be the best to help you get to where you want to go, right? And that starts with self-love, right? In terms of I Am Prosperity, my whole thing is I want to help impact millions of people's lives so that they can, again, break free from limiting beliefs, break those generational curses, so that they can, become the person that they need to be able to do the things, right? If they're trying to, have a better relationship with their wife or their partner, you got to become that person. You're trying to have better health, you got to become that person that can do those things. And so that's what we're trying to do with I Am Prosperity.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to I Am Prosperity with Felipe's brand and his business. You all, literally, you have to work on yourself. And as Felipe is dropping those jewels and saying self-love is eminent, you all, you have to love yourself in order to be able to work on yourself. And so, Felipe, we have reached the final jewel segment where we talked about how you were as a child in your single parent household with, I believe, 3 or 4 of the siblings growing up, and how you still had to create a success lane for yourself in growing into the man that you are today. We've talked about how you and your fiance have been able to come together and communicate. What do you want your family legacy to be? What would be a final jewel that you would want to leave with the audience today, Felipe, before we let you go?
Yeah. Love it. All right. So again, I Am Prosperity, our whole focus is to help you elevate, right? We want to help you break free from anything that's holding you back and elevate. If you want a breakthrough, if you're trying to grow, let's say you feel stuck but just don't know where to go, if you've been doing the same thing over and over again but you're just not getting the results that you desire, here are the three things that you need to do. And by the way, y'all probably gonna hate me by mentioning this, or you're like, oh, whatever. But again, this comes from a place of love, right? The three things that you got to change in order to have a breakthrough, to grow, to elevate is this. The very first thing is you got to change your mindset, right? You have to change your mindset because, again, as I mentioned earlier, let's say you're trying to have a better relationship with your partner, your wife, or whatever. If your mindset is that all they care is about my money, all they care about is whatever it is, you can't have a better relationship because that's what you believe, right? So you got to change that up. You got to change your mindset. Number two is you got to change your environment, right? I always talk about we are seeds of greatness, right? And if you were to plant an orange seed, in order for that to grow, you have to give it the fertilizer, the dirt, the water, and the sun, right? For it to grow, to get the orange. Simple. We are just like that. In order for us to grow, we have to give ourselves the right nutrients, the water, right? The sun, the metaphorical sun, right? And that might look like listening to podcasts, reading books, meditating, exercising, things like that, right? And so if you're frustrated and you're just like, oh man, I'm just not getting what I desire, I'm not where I want to be, maybe you need to check your environment, right? Maybe you need to check your environment, right? Because there's nothing wrong with you. Everything is inside of you, right? And then the last one is this, and y'all are probably going to hit me on this one. The third thing that you have to change is your circle, right? As I mentioned earlier, talking about maybe some people in our circle are actually bringing us down, right? And you got to ask yourself and be honest. Is your circle, are they elevating you? Are they bringing you up? Are they saying, yo, keep doing it, grow, like go at it? Or are they saying, oh, hey, look at her, or hey, look at him, oh, hey, he's too good for us? He's talking about self-development. Like, no, right? You kind of have, and if that's the case, if you're trying to grow, maybe you have to say, hey, maybe we can't hang out too much right now. I'm trying to work on myself, right? And so that's it, y'all. You got to change your mindset. You got to change your environment. And you got to change your circle, right? If you wanna break through, you really want to grow. Those are the three things that you have to change.
Shout out to the final jewel for Felipe. Definitely have to want to grow and have to want to elevate in order to shine bright like the bright diamond jewels you were created to be. That's definitely a plug, like Felipe said. Felipe, how can they stay in contact with you, King, if they want to solicit your services? Real quick before we say a special prayer over you, how can they stay in touch with you and even potentially partner with you?
Thank you, brother. Yeah, if y'all want, go ahead. You can find me on social media, on Instagram, at _ Rangel, Rangel, period, Felipe. If you're watching this and you're just coming from that, go ahead, send me a DM. Let me know you're coming from this. Let me know what you thought. And if anything, we'll give you a special gift, y'all. But yeah, tap in there. Let me know if there's any way we can serve you. We just dropped an ebook titled Break Free and Begin Your Journey to Prosperity. If that's something you're interested, we can talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, I mean, again, our whole focus is to serve you, right? So if there's anything we can do, let us know, right?
No doubt, absolutely. So y'all go follow brother Felipe on social. He's very active. You all, again, I met Felipe in us being a part of the Reels community, which is a community for content creators on IG and Facebook. And so shout out again to all the content creators like myself and Felipe that are still trying to keep their brand flowing and also extend their brand awareness. And so, Felipe, it's been a pleasure serving with you today, King. If anyone that is listening to today's episode has been blessed by the jewels that Felipe has been dropping since the beginning of his interview, feel free to sow a seed with us. You can partner with us in 3 specific ways. You can cash app a donation or a seed to us at $SMART, SMART, JEWELZ. That's SMART, JEWELZ. Or you can click the link that we're putting in the comment section to be a part of our Patreon family, or even to purchase some of our merchandise that we just launched for our previous season for the podcast. And so if you are feeling led, we always believe in sowing where you reap, and where you sow, you shall reap a plentiful harvest. And so thank you again to all of our donors on the bottom ticker, and also all of our sponsors and affiliates for this season. But Felipe, we're going to say a quick prayer over you, King, and then let you enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you again for taking time out to share these jewels of wisdom with us today's episode. For sure. Father, I just want to thank you for Felipe. I thank you for his persistence and also his diligence at being able to have a heart to serve others and to also be able to develop others to be the men and women, the kings and queens that they have been called to be, and also to be able to have stable families. We pray that even he and his future wife's family is able to be a representation of what a healthy marriage looks like, of what a dynamic marriage looks like, and even what a husband and wife should look like according to your will. We thank you for his talents and his giftings that you have given him. We thank you for him being vulnerable and him being able to share about his struggles that he's been able to overcome so that his testimony can even help save lives and change lives for those that you have called him to. We pray that you will open up the floodgates for more partnerships, more clients, and even more individuals that can help and also partner with him along the way of his journey. And I love you, I praise you, and I honor you, Abba. And it's in Yeshua HaMashiach, the Christ's name, I pray. Amen. We appreciate you, King, for coming on for today's segment. I know we'll be in touch. Thank you again for taking time out with us, and we'll talk soon, brother.
All right. Peace. Love you. I'm going to tap in with you, all right? Love you. Everyone.
Absolutely. For sure. Peace. All right, y'all. I'm going to do a quick wrap up for today's episode, Jewels for Thought. You heard from Felipe. You know specifically that we talk about legacy building constantly on the podcast show. If you don't know what you stand for, if you don't know what your values are, if you don't know what your legacy is, then you are just existing. You are not preparing, and you are not planning, and you are not sowing, because you're just going through the motions. You're just existing. You don't even know what you're called to do while you're here on planet Earth, on Mother Earth, as a lot of us were taught in school. And so if you don't know what your calling is, if you don't know what your purpose is, you need to find it. Time is speeding up. And for anything that we've learned for the pandemic recently is that life is short, but eternity is forever. And so what we always say is don't play with this life, because this life will determine where you will spend eternity. And so you have to know for what you stand for. You have to know for what you were called to do while you were here. And most importantly, you need to know where you are going when you leave here, because life is short, but eternity is forever. And so take the time to really see what generational curses, what struggles that have been passed down through your family tree from your grandparents, from your great-grandparents, from your parents, that you need to break, that you need to take the time to destroy, even so that you can start a clean legacy for your family and your children's children. And so those are some final jewels for thought to think about from my special guest, Felipe Rangel, who is definitely one of the dynamic kings that is making some tremendous marks for his community, and also globally for the international community on let's get to the point of breaking these generational curses and stop ignoring these curses. You can stay connected with us on IG at Smart Life Jewels, or you can follow me on IG and on social platforms at King Jewels with a Z Speaks, or you can go to www.smartjewelz enterprises.org. That's smartjewelsenterprises.org to stay in contact with us. And thank you again to all of our listeners on Wisdom and also on Twitter Spaces. We appreciate y'all rocking with us for today's episode, you all. But let's take a look and see what are some things to expect as we continue going through our current season. We have merchandise, as you heard me say, that we just launched last season, and so feel free to support us with that. We even have workshops, webinars, consulting services, but most importantly, we have group international trips that we are just launching this season. And so if you're interested with going with some of our smart travel jewels, or even some of our dynamic group members with our Mustard Seed Business Group to serve on mission and to do mission work for the kingdom, definitely tap in and click the link that we're putting in the comment section for smartjewelzenterprises.org. And so let's take a look at some of our updates that we have for this current season, you all, and stay tuned because we are coming international this season, you all. And as you heard me say before, we do have the services that we provide for anybody who is a content creator, and also for those who are looking to even start their podcast, start their online show or their broadcast. Feel free to go to smartjewelzenterprises.org for multi-streaming hosting options, podcasting, live streaming, technical assistance like our admin and tech support that we have to help enhance your show or your brand. And so if you are wanting to reach new international audiences, the secret to your growth is right in front of you. Just tap in and let's talk with a free discovery session with one of our team members. But most importantly, we're going to the globe, you all, this season. And so I'm excited for what our team has been putting in work and patiently, diligently pressing forward to go to the nations. For content creators, we are going to be even taking content creation international trips to Africa, to Asia, to South and also Central America. We're going to be even taking ventures to serve and to do community building projects in different nations. And so some of us are called to do domestic work, but there are others that are called to do international work. And so if you are called to go international, feel free to see where we will be traveling for this year and also for next year, and tap in with us. This is not for everybody, but this is definitely for those who are wanting to see the world, learn about new cultures, and most importantly, to be able to create international content while serving others in international lands and international nations. And so take a listen to all of our previous episodes on the Run the Jewelz podcast on any podcast streaming platform that you listen to your favorite music artists or podcasts on. And shine bright like the bright diamond jewels you've been created to be, because you were meant and created for a specific purpose and a specific duty, and you must be able to find that light that is within you in order to shine. And so take a look and see where we are headed and where we are currently at for our podcast for this season, you all. I'll see you next episode.